Alright, so I have this speech I wrote on June 3rd, 2020 that I've been really wanting to get off my chest. I wanted to give it live to the people, but the time just never seemed right. And I'm kind of glad that it did work out that way, because now I realize how important it is that everyone can hear me clearly. It's kind of become a two-parter since I was arrested after the original speech. So if it's a little long for you, that's not exactly what you want to hear. I feel it's still very important, and I put my whole heart into it. So all I ask is that you please listen to the entirety of the speech. And I promise you it's not as long as I'm making it sound right now. So to those of you that do listen, thank you. And again, remember, I put my whole heart into this. When I first tried to read it on June 3rd, I couldn't even finish reading it without crying. With that said, keep in mind, this is written June 3rd, 2020, so when you hear me say last night or this morning, it's in the context of being June 3rd. Here goes the speech. Some of you already know me, many of you may not. And what I'm about to say is controversial. So I ask that you please listen with open ears, minds, and hearts. I believe in leading by example, because nobody likes a hypocrite, which is why I do my best every day not to be one. But we're all human and make mistakes. We all have programmable minds and hearts that feel emotion. We all feel the same emotions, even though we have different experiences. And the world is full of hardened hearts, which is why we all must do our own part to have an open heart, by getting our minds out of our own way. To do that, we can't focus just on the problem, but more on the solutions, and then be the change we want to see. All change starts from within, then spreads to your family, friends, neighborhood, city, nation, and then the whole world. Which is why I'm here to say we can do better. We must do better. Because the whole world is watching right now, and we have the chance to set the right example. But we must show them to do that. Actions speak louder than words. I'm not a cop, but my sole purpose in life is to serve and protect you. All of you. And that includes cops. Before I continue this conversation, I want to ensure you're still listening with an open heart. So please hear me when I say this. I would lay down my life for you. Any of you. Because I love you. I love all of you. Because we are all one, and we all come from the same source. I know I said actions speak louder than words, and my actions speak for themselves. Last night I risked not only my truck and home, but my life and my puppy's life, to defend the people from the police. I left a peaceful protest where I had just met my favorite artist to go up the street and get between the crowd and the cops, who at the time I thought were trying to cause a riot. They could have shot me in the back or face with rubber bullets then, as I kept turning around, but they didn't. I didn't appreciate the tear gas blowing up next to me, but I also don't appreciate people ruining a peaceful protest and blaming it on the police, because false narratives get people killed. Still not knowing at the time why we were being tear gassed again, I grabbed my truck to get between the people and the police. I told the cops to fall back or I'd run them over. Despite me burning rubber towards them several times, they called my bluff and continued forward to spike strip my truck. They also let me know they could have killed me too by shooting my back window with paintball rounds, marking a headshot. They also shot the side of my truck where my puppy was with pepper balls, I believe, because it left white powder and several dents. Live rounds would have went through even the side of my truck. But had they been firing live rounds, I would have let off the brake and hit them for real. Best believe. However, I would have never done that if I didn't trust the Portland police with my life. And I only trust them because I have had so many positive experiences with them. Don't get me wrong, we still need change. And I still have my beefs with the Portland PD. But as a whole, they are far better than the cops from places like New York and North Carolina, where I'm from, by the way. I have seen how they operate in intense situations multiple times. I have tested them by the fruit of their labor countless times before and after this protest, and I have never seen them be quick to grab a gun. I have been here 5 years, and I haven't even heard of them murdering anyone, not once. Not saying someone out there can't say otherwise. I'm just saying, from my personal experience, I have not heard or seen anything of that nature here in Portland in the past 5 years. I know there are bad cops. I know that from personal experience too. As a mixed kid, black, white, and native. As a mixed kid growing up in predominantly black neighborhoods in North Carolina, I can tell you about a time me and my friends were almost shot for simply visiting our grandparents. Granny lived in a senior citizen apartment building, and another resident called the cops on us saying we were trying to break in. After visiting and leaving in broad daylight, 5 cop cars pull up from behind with guns drawn, and we had nothing but phones and soda cans, clear as day. They had guns pointed at kids' heads and threatened to let the K-9 loose if I didn't get on the ground. My friends smartly complied. I asked why. My answer? Shut the and get on the ground. After they illegally searched us and saw that we all had keys, they let us go, but told us not to come back to our own grandparents. I reported them to the captain, and he said they shouldn't talk to us like that or draw guns unless they know we have a gun. He said he would file a report, but when I checked back a month later, he didn't even remember what I was talking about. So believe me when I tell you, I feel your pain. When I'm out here laying on the ground face down screaming, I can't breathe! I'm crying on the inside, sometimes on the outside too. In the past week, I have eaten as much as most people eat in a day. I try to eat, but I just can't stomach it. I'm losing sleep and skipping work over this. I'm out here with you every night because I'm hurting too. I'm angry too. After the possibility of dying last night, I kept filling up with anger and sadness at the same time, tearing up over and over again. I just couldn't understand why the police did that, when just the day before, they left us alone completely and we had a beautifully amazing, peaceful parade. This morning, I found out it's because a small group was being violent and vandalizing again. I put my life on the line for everyone because a small group decided to ruin the peaceful protest. We have pregnant women, kids, elderly, and dogs coming out to these protests now. We've been growing every day, and some of you want to put all of us at risk. Do you not see how selfish that is? The looting nobody can deny is for personal gain only. It solves nothing for the cause. It is actually hurting the cause and must stop. Furthermore, imagine how the good cops feel about putting their lives on the line for us and being told they're all bastards for it. I haven't been saying anything because we all have freedom of speech, but please remember that the world is watching. What kind of example do you want to set for your kids or future kids? The hate you give little infants fucks everybody. Thug life. So please stop saying fuck all cops, fuck 12, ACAB, and so on. I get that you want to vent, but you're not even saying fuck bad cops. It would be better to say BCAB and prosecute the police, because that's what this is all really about. I hope we haven't forgotten that. Let's spread peace, love, and unity only, because it's been working thus far here in Portland. Besides, the real enemy we don't see, and it's not the police. But the police I would want on my side if the real enemy ever came knocking. Would you not want the people with guns and bulletproof stuff on your side in the event of martial law? I can't and won't stop you from exercising your freedom of speech, but I beg you all to stop with the hate. However, the looting and vandalizing must stop. We can and we should start stopping the destruction. It's called citizen's arrest. I didn't care before if you burned down a bank or the courthouse, but we already showed what we are prepared to do if necessary. So now it needs to be a peaceful protest only, for the cause. We're making history, and you can either be part of the solution or part of the problem. Please stop being part of the problem. Thank you, Portland Police and the city manager, for taking a knee. I see you. I will not let your gesture of support be stained. Thank you for your part in this historical moment. Now let's continue to peacefully protest and unite the people around the world. Again, I wrote that June 3rd, 2020. Then I was arrested before I ever got to give the speech. So I wrote this next part, June 6th, 2020, yesterday. Today is June 7th. Not as long, don't worry. We're almost there. After writing this speech, I missed my chance to deliver it live at the City Hall, for at the time I did not know where to go. And later I was arrested for my actions the day before. When arrested, I was told for rioting, but I was completely peaceful that night, so I refused to get out of my truck for fear of my life and my service dog's life. It wasn't until the sergeant promised me that my dog would be fine, and I saw his concerned face with teary eyes, that I agreed to get out. I was not beaten, and my dog rode to jail with me, before they later sent him to Multnomah County Animal Services. At the Justice Center, I saw black and white cops talking like normal human beings, sharing laughter and compassion. I feel that's important to share. After getting out of jail 24 hours later, I didn't exactly feel like giving a speech to thousands after losing my dog, my home, and my way to make money. I did, however, continue to protest with y'all into the morning hours, where I saw firsthand a small group of young white people starting fires and tagging buildings. It wasn't to sabotage the movement either. It's just a bunch of teens trying to have fun in a historical moment while doing what they feel is their part in the equation. Who's to say that after hours chaos hasn't been part of the recipe for success? It gets attention, it allows people to vent, and it builds trust between the people and the police to see how they respond. And over a week straight, no one has been severely injured during these protests. No one on either side. That should say something. Because we have all seen videos of New York cops running over women with horses and shoving over old people onto concrete. Portland police have only tear gassed us and shot at us with paint or rubber, which they have agreed to stop doing, because we the people have only been destructive after hours as of late. And when the police ask us to leave, we listen. We don't run, but we walk away because we know we started that fire. So thank you to the Splinter Group for waiting until the kids go home. And thank you, Portland PD, for your reform. Especially, thank you for not hurting my pit bull with a giant head and giving him back with his boy still intact. Now, if I could just get my home back that you're calling a weapon and evidence, that would be great. One last thing. The reason I said I won't let the Portland PD's gesture of unity be stained is because the first night they took a knee, several people on social media said 15 minutes later they tear gassed us, as if to say the knee was an act. While it is true they tear gassed us 15 minutes later, it was 10 minutes after half the crowd threw mortars in their face after asking them to take off their riot gear. So who really was faking this interaction? Again, both sides have improved since then, but please remember the world is watching, and false narratives get people killed. So let's stay honest, people. Thank you. That's all I wrote. And I'm going to make sure this gets to the Oregonian, because I used to work for them. and I trust that they will release the full story. As for Little Miss KGW, I know you remember me, so don't act like you only recognize me with a headdress on, alright?